Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Nathan.
Welcome to episode 53 of Adventures and Mousecapades.
Today we're going to talk about the lyrics to Auld Lang Syne, which, according to Google, is a song by Rod Stewart, a traditional song by Rod Stewart.
No. It's from the Scottish poet Robert Burns. It's not from Rod Stewart.
I mean, aren't they the same person? It's just an alias? No?
No. I don't know the lyrics to it anyway. I mean, I just like da 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 da. Yeah, I just hum along to it and maybe say Auld Lang Syne. That's it. I don't usually sing on New Year's Eve, so whatever.
No, we're usually asleep these days.
We might make it through tonight.
Maybe. Only because that we need, at least I need to be up for Caitlin and her group of friends. They're running a Clue game tonight on New Year's Eve, and I am the virtual envelope as they do accusations, and I am telling them whether they're correct or not.
Oh, yeah. I guess you should stay up for that.
Yes.
You were talking about a verse.
Oh yeah, verse 2 is. I think this whole song is about a Dutch date. It says, "And surely you will buy your cup, and surely I'll buy mine. We'll take a cup of kindness yet, for the sake of Auld Lang Syne."
Okay, so is that from Mr. Stewart?
Yeah, allegedly.
Okay, so that's riffing off of the actual Auld Lang Syne, so.
What is the actual?
I don't speak Scottish.
If I had some more scotch, I could speak Scotch.
And surely you'll be your pint stoop, and surely I'll be mine, and we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. That's the Americanized version, I guess.
Pint stoop? Are you sure this isn't German?
Pint stoop. Stout.
Pint stoop.
Wow. That was the thing.
Oh, hey, we've been talking for a few minutes. Maybe we should actually get into the podcast.
What?
I know.
I guess so. Today is our podcast birthday.
It is.
It has been 1 year.
To the day when this comes out.
Yep.
It has been, I don't know. Yeah. I can't believe we're still doing this. We have done this every single week. This is technically this is our 53rd episode.
Yeah.
There was a bonus podcast in there too, a bonus episode that was just a snip of a bigger one. But wow! So
yeah,
let's I'm gonna nerd out just for a minute. So we use a service called Buzzsprout to host our podcast for us, and I pulled our download statistics today and did a bunch of math because, you know, when you're a program manager, Excel is your hammer and every problem is a nail. We have published in all of our 53 episodes so far, that's 52 regular episodes and a bonus, we have published 39 hours and 34 minutes of podcast content. We've had 1,693 downloads, which equates to 1,283 plus hours of listening. That means the wonderful people of the world have cumulatively listened to us for 53 and a half days this year. That just, wow. I'm flabbergasted. If you have, dear listener, a friend in Africa or Antarctica, please encourage them to listen to Adventures in Mousecapades, because those are the only two continents that we haven't hit yet.
And we are completionists.
That's right. We need the gamer score.
We need the gamer score.
The vast majority of our listeners are from here in the U.S. About 97% of those downloads are from in the U.S. We have a healthy contingent from Canada. Also have hits from the UK, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Singapore, France, Germany, Denmark, Czechia, the Netherlands, Isle of Man, Norway, Slovakia, Mexico, Belize, Brazil, Peru, and St. Martin. The Dutch part, not the French side. I don't know what their problem is, but we've got the Dutch side of St. Martin covered. About 15% of our listeners use Apple Podcasts. 14% are on Spotify, 12% on Stitcher or Overcast, which is what I use myself for all of my podcast listening. Overcast is amazing. Google Podcasts is another 8%. And then there is a wicked long tail of various websites and listeners and all sorts of podcatchers out there that round out the list. 60% of our listeners get us and listen to us on an iPhone, 17% on an Android, 5% on a PC, 3% on a Mac. About 3% of our downloads actually happened on an Amazon smart speaker, which is cool. And there's somebody out there who has listened to several episodes on a smart TV.
Oh,
Which, okay, I love it. It's interesting to watch an audio podcast on a smart TV, but more power to you.
I listen to a couple audio podcasts on like YouTube.
That's fair.
I mean,
but we don't publish a YouTube feed.
This is true. I would say they're an audio podcast, but they have video of them talking. So we haven't gone that route yet. I don't know that we will.
I have a face for radio.
A lot of people do. I mean, it's.
I'm too self-conscious. I wouldn't want to do this on
that. Yeah, that's the thing. We are both very self-conscious people, and we do edit this. And I did it again. You do edit this to take out some of the flubs that we have to. So we've never really done an all live, I guess, podcast.
No, even we've come close, but we've never I've never published one without some edits.
Yeah,
it's gotten a lot better, but I will say, especially the early episodes were brought to you by and and very long pregnant pauses. If we record about a half hour, it will take me an hour, hour 15 to edit that. As I hear myself talking right now. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to polish. I almost said polish our turd, but polish our beautiful podcast out to make it presentable to the world. That's kind of some of the statistics behind where we are sitting here today. Almost 1,700 downloads, which is just
that's crazy,
absolutely amazing to me, and I love and the downloads per day keep growing. I mean, it's slow and steady. We're definitely the tortoise here. But I love that we're creeping on up and we're getting a few more listens every week. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. It's quite humbling. So I wanted to kind of shape this conversation today, and we'll bounce the conversation back and forth a little bit. But starting this podcast was originally Alicia's idea. And I don't mean to say that, well, this was your idea, but I mean, this was the genesis of something that Alicia had been thinking about doing. And then I just am along for the ride and enjoy the technical challenge. I've learned a whole bunch of new skills and got to buy some cool gear, which always makes me happy. So, Alicia, I mean, I know we probably talked a little bit about this in our initial intro podcast, episode 1, but why did you really want to start this podcast?
I don't know if there's any one specific reason. There's a bunch of different things. I think one of them was I wanted to get us off our butts and doing something. And we always had very interesting conversations just around Disney and around planning and reminiscing on stuff. And I was like, why don't we just talk about it and see if there's anybody that is interested in maybe listening in on our trip reports or just advice that we have. Because both of us have had multiple peoples ask us about, like, how do you plan for Disney? What's the best thing to do? What are the best restaurants? How do I even get started in this craziness that is a Disney trip? Yeah. And I was like, I mean, we're not the end-all, be-all, know-it-alls of Disney, but we go often enough and we plan often enough that we have a good knowledge base on all of this.
Right.
And I just thought it would be nice to talk.
Yeah, we're not travel agent experts. Obviously, as if you've heard our episodes before, that is our famous disclaimer.
Yeah.
But we've been there. We've done a lot. We've talked with some amazing friends that are former cast members and kind of gotten some inside story and behind the scenes understanding of how some of this stuff actually works or doesn't work, as the case may be. And yeah, they're just interesting conversations. And every time I think that we have squeezed the stone dry of ideas to talk about on the podcast, another 20 things
There's
just
always stuff.
show up on the list.
Yeah. And I think what's really interesting is I had no idea how many Disney podcasts were out there. Like, I didn't listen to any Disney podcasts. I was like, oh, let's just start this thing. We watched a lot of YouTube videos. There's a bunch of vloggers that we follow, but I had never done any podcast listening. And then we started this, and then I started adding a whole bunch of other people that do Disney podcasts just to see what is out there. And the interesting thing is everybody's different. That's what I love about it, is we have our take, somebody else has their own take. Nothing's exactly the same, and that's really cool.
So thinking about the reasoning that you wanted to start this podcast with, what we've experienced and what we've done over the past year, has it met your expectations? Have we kind of delivered on what you wanted to do?
I don't know that I had any like high or lofty expectations. It was kind of more just going in and starting a conversation on a topic that we love.
Yeah.
I guess the big expectations I had were we want to do this weekly. So yes, that did meet my expectations. I think initially I'd wanted to eventually start pulling people in to talk to, like later on down the line. So yes, that met my expectations because we have talked to a couple of people and we have multiple people in the hopper for later episodes that we're going to talk with as well.
Yep. We recorded one just a few days ago.
Yeah, I guess, yes, it has met my expectations. What about you? Did you have expectations going into this? And what were they? And how has that all panned out?
I don't know why I'm surprised about it, but I'm continually surprised at how much longer the back end of editing takes than I think it should. It is twice as long as I think it should. Like, I don't have an expectation that it's a 1-to-1, like just ship it raw, because I know we need to do some work and trim out some things, and we'll sit here and banter a little bit trying to figure out what we're going to talk about next. But it just always takes longer than I think it will. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing that I've had to get used to. I think the other expectation, honestly, was I didn't think that we would be able to keep up and sustain a weekly rhythm. I figured we'd run out of ideas and or just would run out of time to do it. And doing this has honestly replaced some time of sitting around on the couch and watching TV or football or doom scrolling on Twitter or whatever. And I don't necessarily think that is a bad trade-off.
Yeah.
And so it's exceeded my expectations in that we've been able to put out a lot more episodes than I thought we would. I figured we'd go maybe 6 months and then switch to like an every other week kind of thing. But I'm so glad that it has really become a sticking point in what we do every week. Every once in a while, we'll get several episodes recorded like in one shot. And then I always have these ideas of like, oh, I'm just going to sit down and, edit all these and then pre-schedule them and we'll just be good to go. And I can take some time off. And that never actually happens, but I still have aspirations to get to that point. But it's more work than I thought, but I love it. I really am enjoying this. So, Alicia, I've learned a little bit about the production side of it and how to make us sound good and some techniques on the technical side of audio editing and publishing and all the rest of that stuff. What have you learned out of this whole year of creating a Disney podcast?
I've learned that I'm a nose breather into the microphone. I don't mean to be. It's just how I breathe. Nathan's been really good at cutting all that out.
It's okay.
That's not nose breathing. That is heavy mouth breathing. That is entirely different. There you go.
There we go.
I've learned that I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy talking with my best friend about something that we both love.
Have you learned a lot about Disney as part of this?
I don't know if that's anything specifically from this podcast or from other various media outlets that we consume.
We may be paying attention to it a little more than we used to.
Yes. Okay. That I will give you. And I've also learned that because of this podcast, when we do go on vacations, we are much better about and much more intentional about keeping track of things and writing down what we do, where we go, if there's any oddities that happen, which I actually enjoy that we do that. It may be that I'm taking my phone out a little more to do that, but it really helps with just remembering things.
Yeah.
And it solidifies the memory when it does happen. What about you? What have you learned other than the technical stuff?
Yeah, I wrote this question down and I wasn't really thinking about it being reflected back at me. I think I have learned to, like you said, just pay attention a lot more when we're on vacation to what's going on and look for those behind the scenes details that would be interesting to share. I don't think there's any big thing or big massive light bulb moment of knowledge that has hit me. I think there's just been a lot of little things that we've learned, and we are paying more attention to what's going on with the Disney company and in the parks. In our vacation planning, the podcast has entered into those conversations and thoughts and choices about what we do and decide not to do.
Content.
Yeah. I mean, where do we stay? Well, we should stay somewhere new so we have something new to talk about, or we should maybe not do that same DCL itinerary as we've done before. Let's do this other one so we'll have something different to talk about. It's influenced some of our decisions. I think we're always learning, and I love that we have a focus and that I have a focus on something to learn and pay attention to that is not my day job. This has been a very nice diversion from a very stressful 2022. It has added a little bit of stress, but it is not the first time in my life where I have improved my mental health, if you will, by adding one more thing to my plate to do. And this has definitely helped have a focus outside of work.
Now, what you said about us doing different itineraries and planning different things because of the podcast, I really like that we've started to do that because it does get us doing different things and not having us stuck in a rut, although it's not really a rut, but just trying different things and different itineraries, different restaurants or whatnot. I think that's a good thing to try other things. I mean,
agreed.
We are very much, we like the comfortable, we like the convenient and familiar. So if we find a restaurant we like, we will go back to that restaurant many, many times.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with a lot of times with Disney is we know this restaurant's good, so we're going to go to that one.
Yeah.
But this podcast has helped us branch out with that. There's restaurants that we wouldn't have tried before that we've tried.
Yep.
And it's going to continue to be like that.
Absolutely. I think this has been just a fantastic influence on us, and I'm excited to meet new people as we do more interviews and talk to more folks. And I'm excited for the future. But we'll circle back to that here in a little bit. So what has been kind of your favorite part about doing the podcast this year? Is there anything that really sticks out as like, oh, this was a seminal moment, or this was a really cool thing?
I don't know if there's been any favorite. Like I said, I love talking Disney, and I love talking Disney with you. And just remembering this stuff together has been great. I think some of the interesting things is looking back on our like very first trips where all we have to go by is pictures, and it was so long ago, and my memory is crap. And just trying to fill stuff in, like, I know this happened, but I don't remember it very well. So I don't know if that's my favorite. I don't know. I'm just looking through our list of everything that we've covered. Having our very first guest on was pretty cool.
Audie.
And that was Audie. Yeah, I loved having her on the show. And then getting to hear from Wendy, who was on the Galactic Star Cruiser.
That was great.
Cool too. Yeah. I think one of the highlights for me was something you did not enjoy at all, but getting to go to Universal and to the Halloween Horror Nights. I don't know. I think that may have been kind of a forcing function of the podcast too. Like, hey, this is happening while I'm down there, and we have this podcast to talk about it. So, I think that was pretty cool. I know you didn't enjoy it.
That was absolutely podcast content forced for me going. I did not want to go. I am neutral on that experience.
Yeah.
But the deciding factor was, well, we have this podcast.
Yep.
If Alicia's going to go and do all of the scary stuff in haunted houses, I should go and try to get a picture of what the rest of the park is like if you're not super into that, and get drug into the event with somebody else that you have to go through. Not to say that I have to go, but it worked out.
What has been your favorite part of this first year?
I think for me, the favorite part of this year has been reminiscing about all these old trips that we've had, not just with you, but with the kids too. Like having Caitlin on and having Sterling on has just been, it's been cool. It's been, we've leveraged this as a forcing function to get us to do something together as a family. And, you know, as much as the teenager doesn't always want to do stuff and, you know, the tween wants to go play video games, it's still been fun to sit around the table and have these conversations. I've really enjoyed that. And, you know, I talked about it earlier. I'm totally geeking out and nerding out on gear and technique and applications. And yeah, I this is definitely scratching that itch too of, you know, I almost went to college to get a degree in music production. And, you know, I'm a drummer on the side and have been for decades at this point, as just filling in worship bands or what have you. But, you know, this has really been a chance to scratch that kind of lifelong itch to do some music engineering and audio engineering stuff. And, you know, we've got some nice microphones now, and I've got a pretty sweet DAW application that I use in Studio One, and really getting familiar with the technical side of that. I've really enjoyed that challenge. So that's my other favorite part.
Whenever I'm working from home and joining meetings, I always get comments on, oh, you have a cool microphone. It makes your voice sound so nice.
Yeah, and you get everybody else is on the call with like the cheap like $20 boom mic, and they kind of, you know, sound like they're talking through a thin paper cup, and then we get on and we're all like, hello, this is us from NPR. And yeah, it's you know, there's a little bit of that too.
I almost made an NPR joke, but I will not, because no.
I think
if
I
you
know
which, you know.
Some Saturday Night Live skits?
Yes.
Yes. So what do you want to do more of?
I want to do more trips to Disney Cruise Line, Aulani, and more trip reports. I
like it. Yeah.
How's that?
That's fair. More of everything.
More of the same of what we've been doing. I really enjoy the trip reports. I enjoy having people on and just talking with them as well. So I think I'd like to do more of that, I believe.
Yeah. For me, it's the same. I'd love to do a bunch more interviews and get to know a bunch of different people and get other perspectives.
Yeah.
Like you, I've added a few Disney podcasts into my repertoire, and it's been cool to hear all the different perspectives of people that are out there and different different experiences that they have, different price points that they vacation at. Like, I'll be honest, we're at an upper price point. Like we're not in the royal suites all the time, but we're not looking at, inside stateroom on a DCL or staying at the All-Star Resort. And there's lots of people out there who do that and love that. And I'd love to talk to those folks and learn more. I'd also love to talk to the folks who like to, sail in the royal suite. So, we're equal opportunity here if you're interested in sharing with the world what your Disney trips have been like. If you're out there listening and you're interested in sharing your Disney story, your experiences of a lifetime, your trips, some good things you've learned, some bad things you've learned, we're super interested to talk to you. So shoot us an email, podcast@adventuresandmousecapades.com. We'd love to have you on, and we'll see where this adventure goes.
We are not super social people. We need an extrovert to pull both of us along. That's just how we are. When we are out on trips, we're just not talking with people.
Yeah.
I know on other podcasts, I believe that's how a lot of these other people will get guests to come on, is they will chat with everybody, and we just are not chatters unless somebody pulls us along, and then we will chat. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Usually over a drink or two.
Yes. Oh, we're fine with that. Yeah.
Indeed. So, Alicia, we've talked about some things that we want to do more of, and you mentioned a bunch of travel and, all sorts of opportunities. So what do you think is in store for us in 2023?
Well, we have a lot of travel planned for 2023.
Yeah, we do.
Seriously, we have a lot of travel planned for next year. I think this is the most in one year that we have ever done.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, we have a trip in March.
Yep, that's Alicia and I on the Wish for our anniversary, and some time in Orlando with our friends before and after.
Mm-hmm. We have our very first ever non-Disney cruise coming up in October.
That's right. We just booked that last week. We'll be on the Royal Caribbean cruise line from Vancouver to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then we have an opportunity to stay on Kauai for 5 nights or something like that. So tack that on to the end. Yeah, that'll be
been to Kauai.
No, we've never been to Kauai. So very much interested in that one.
And we also have a trip at the very end of December, another cruise, and some time after the cruise, just chilling. And this is going to be with the Elder Novaks as well.
Yes. My parents are coming with us to Disney World, and we will, Caitlin will be flying out. Caitlin will be in college, and she will be flying out. I think we're going to get there a couple days before she does, and we'll be doing a 7-night Western Caribbean on the Disney Fantasy, and then, spending some time in one of the DVC resorts around the holidays.
Hopefully.
We are not planning to go to the parks. So we will be hanging out with our friends. Yeah. We will be enjoying restaurants and stuff. I have no desire to try to go to a park in between Christmas and New Year's. No, thank you.
And I don't know, we may have a surprise trip or two planned. We don't know yet.
Who knows? Things happen. Just spur of the moment. So there's a lot coming up this year. We'll obviously bring you all along, and you'll hear all about it. We have a bunch of content and ideas for podcast episodes. We have several more interviews lined up. We're going to talk about a bunch of resorts and things like that, because when people are searching for information on, where to stay, often they're looking for, hey, what's a review of this resort or that resort? So we'll put out some dedicated episodes around that. Maybe talk about some different lands in the parks. All sorts of stuff is coming your way. We definitely have some more legacy, we'll call them, trip reports to catch up to current. We should finish those out this year. Alicia and I sat down a couple weeks ago, and kind of game planned out and storyboarded a whole bunch of ideas for the podcast. And I think even without most of our trips rather, we're good until like July at this point. So we have lots to go on. And here's the thing though, if you guys are interested in talking with us, we'd love to have you. We will move our schedule because we would really love to hear from you. So if you're, I don't want to beat a dead horse as it were, but we'd love to have you guys on. So shoot us an email, podcast@adventuresandmousecapades.com.
We are not affiliated with Disney and we are not travel agents. While we can offer our opinions and suggestions, we do recommend working with a travel agent to plan your perfect vacation.
Again, if you have any questions or suggestions or want to be interviewed on our show, please send an email to podcast@adventuresandmousecapades.com.
Follow us on socials at Our Mousecapades. Please take a moment, rate and review in your podcast app to help people find us.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be in your ears next week. And thanks so much for being with us on this fun ride over the last 52 weeks.
Yes.
It's been amazing, and I can't wait to share more.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for flying Star Tours. Bye-bye.